Get the 89 WLS AM app for your iPhone, iPad, BlackBerry, and Android, and never miss a minute. Online at WLSAM.com.
6:35. It's your NATO Summit special. How well do you know NATO? My wife was somewhere the other day, out in the suburbs, out in Green Jakers, and she happened to mention, start chit-chatting with this one guy that owned this store, and she said, yeah, this NATO thing and all, and he said, what NATO thing? He had no idea. It wasn't on his radar. He wasn't coming into Chicago. It wasn't on his radar. I don't know how he missed it. Dave on the Tri-State. Dave, you're on 89 WLS.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Got up at 4 o'clock this morning so I could listen to you as I drive through Chicago, man.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, we could avoid all these idiot protesters and, well, actually, idiot hesitant state. Don't these people know what teleconferencing is? Give them a WebEx subscription or a GoToMeeting subscription.
Well, for people who are very concerned about the environment and global warming and all that, there seem to be many, many huge airplanes with very few people on them.
Yeah, I know it. I mean, even my company that I work for, and I'm just a truck driver, man, whenever we have to get together, we video conference.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure, a Banana Republic can afford a laptop with a, web computer, webcam.
Now, as far as the protesters, I don't want to lump all the protesters in one basket. For example, Jim mentioned earlier in the news about the people who are protesting about the cuts for, mental health in Illinois. I understand why they'd be doing that. Sometimes our priorities aren't straight.
In a way, they're not. But then again, when you give all the money away to the union bosses and stuff in Illinois, what do you expect? I mean, money doesn't grow on trees. Although Ben Bernanke thinks so.
Well,
I guess I shouldn't lump all the protesters in. I'm talking about these Occupy people. I mean, did you see on the news the other day where the people in the neighborhood started getting upset and coming out to greet them?
Yeah, it's a That's a Chicago welcome.
Not just nothing against people that live in Chicago, but I'm glad I don't live in Chicago, man.
All right, Dave. You know what we're going to do? How well do you
know NATO?
All right, here's the question for you, Dave.
All right.
Is this a NATO head of the country, or is this an NBA player? Here's the name, Abdullah Gul.
I'm going with the NBA.
Sorry, he's the head of Turkey.
Oh, well, all right.
He's the head turkey there.
Yep, I hear you.
Take care, Dave.
Talk to you later, Jake.
Bye. Yeah. Okay, there you go. Abdullah Gul. If you happen to see him, bow to him as the prime minister of Turkey. Speaking of the protests, I don't know how closely you're watching TV or the press. I have my own little guerrilla marketing going on. For those of you who follow me on Facebook or Twitter, it's twitter.com/Jake Hartford or Jake Hartford on Facebook. I have this guerrilla marketing, and I want to get my name out there. So I've talked to my son and a couple of his friends, and they don't want to be in the big main protests where there may be head bashing, but they want to be in the outskirts where the media is taking pictures. We have signs out. And the punchline of the sign is the sign has two messages. One is like a personal thing on top, and then the tagline on the bottom. The tagline is Jake, and this is in capital letters, block style. Jake Hartford did this to me. So, for example, one sign will have on top, I lost my home, and then you'll see in the block letters, Jake Hartford did this to me. My kids hate me. Then Jake Hartford did this to me. So be watching for that in the different coverage of the protest. You may see it here or there. Because my goal is not just to be seen in Chicago. I'm hoping the international media picks up on this and it flashes around the world somewhere in one of these NATO countries. Remember, look for the sign like, I have a yeast infection. Jake Hartford did this to me. Or a woman carrying a sign, my husband has a 4-hour erection. Jake Hartford did this to me. My 25-year-old is still living at home. President Obama did this to me. Anyways, Dr. Bob's time.
Oh, help me, please, doctor, I'm damaged. There's a pain.
Here he comes, 2 B's, 1 L. Good morning, Dr. Bob.
Good morning, Jake. There's so much happening in medicine these days. There's the azithromycin scare, the Z-Pak scare, and one of the famous survivors of a course of azithromycin is that gentleman with the flesh-eating bacteria infection eating away his penis, and then his wife who has flesh-eating pharyngitis. And I don't know if you saw those thousands of nurses yesterday parading and listening to the concert. And the little-known fact was they were all doing their Kegel exercises while they were marching and listening to the concert. And it was, a big day in medicine.
Well, I was reading a story here about a guy. His neighbors thought he was in trouble. He lived in this apartment building. And the other day, a woman heard him moaning and yelling. It was coming from his apartment. So she called the police, and the officers arrived to check on his well-being to see if he was okay.
And they saw a sign that said, Jake Hartford did this to me?
No, they did not see that. But when they questioned him what the noise was about, apparently he was having trouble in the washroom. That's where all the grunting and moaning was coming from.
Too much Metamucil?
I don't know. Too much of something, or maybe it's just the commentary on the on paper thin walls that you hear everything nowadays.
So he was having trouble having a bowel movement?
Yes, he was. That was it. No, that was it. It was trouble having a bowel movement.
Oh.
So anyway, I heard what's this about the hepatitis C?
Did he name the bowel movement?
No, he didn't.
No, okay.
I think it was by Wagner or Beethoven. Anyway, what is this? The news is anybody that was born between 45 and 65 should get tested for hepatitis C.
Well, hepatitis C is a silent epidemic. There are some famous people who that have had it, like David Crosby ended up with liver transplant secondary to it, and then I guess Greg Allman is on some PSAs on WLS about it. But hepatitis C, you don't manifest a lot of symptoms with it, and you can carry it unsuspected for decades. And it can be transmitted fairly silently. It's not effectively transmitted through sexual intercourse, but it can be. You have to have exposure to blood in order for that to happen. But it's transmitted by blood exposure. And one of the risks of Hep C transmission is sharing a straight razor with someone who has Hep C. So believe it or not, there was a big push a number of years ago to try to make sure that the barber shops, sanitized their razors, because this was a risk factor for hepatitis C transmission, a barbershop razor. But people can have it. It can cause undetected cirrhosis for decades, and then can lead to sometimes people present with advanced liver cirrhosis and they've never been symptomatic. So the blood test for it is a fairly simple blood test. It's just like if you were going to get your kidney function checked. You just have a simple blood test for hepatitis C antibody. It's not a perfect test. It does miss some cases, but for the most part, it detects about 80 to 90% of cases of hepatitis C. And we found that the use of alcohol or other liver toxic agents on top of having silent hepatitis C is a strong promoter of liver cirrhosis. And anybody with hepatitis C should be actually monitored and receive vaccinations for hepatitis B and hepatitis A, so they don't get a secondary infection on top of the hepatitis C, which can cause real profound problems. Hepatitis C is one of the leading causes of need for liver transplantation these days.
Now, the other thing I read is coffee is good for your brain.
Yeah, there's been a lot of information that's come out about out on coffee in the past decade or so. Coffee that's brewed with a filter really doesn't bump up your cholesterol, but if you brew coffee in one of those like metal baskets without a paper filter, it seems to elevate bad levels of cholesterol. So you'd want to have brewed filtered coffee. Coffee seems to delay the onset of dementia. It seems to improve health in many different areas. It's not really known what is the chemical in coffee that does that. That paper filter probably filters out a chemical that affects you badly, but there's hundreds, if not more than 1,000 different little chemicals in coffee.
And saturated fats are bad for your memory.
Yeah, they can build up inside your blood vessels and cause decreased blood.
So if you're eating food high in saturated fats, but you're having coffee with it, does that just neutralize, knock each other out?
No, it's not that. You shouldn't think.
It's not that simple.
Way. Yeah.
Well, I see it on TV. It seems that simple.
Well, it ain't.
Are you ready? Are you ready in case something happens with NATO this weekend? Are you on call?
I'm ready. I'm on call. I've got my NATO beeper on my belt. I'm ready to go.
And what are you going to do if something happens?
Probably go out and play golf.
Yeah, that's what I figure.
Yeah. All right. It's a nice weekend.
It's I know we're talking about the closures and stuff, but you know what? If you ever want to come downtown and eat at a nice restaurant, this is your weekend. You'll get in.
I can get in?
You can get in.
Okay. I'll tell him Jake Hartford sent me.
Yeah, Jake Hartford did this to me. Remember that.
Yes.
Take care, Dr. Bob.
I don't just remember it, Jake. I'm living it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
There he goes. Dr. Bob. Yeah, if you want to go to a nice restaurant, this is the weekend. You're going to have to pay to park in a garage, but what are you going to do? The other thing I noticed, some of the places that have the sidewalk cafe stuff, their chairs and tables are gone. They must be in for the weekend. Probably to make it safer. Anyway, 591-8900 is the phone number. John Cass will be coming in here in a few minutes as we continue to 8 o'clock with this Summit special until Paul Bryan gets here with Drive Chicago. All that and more right here on 89 WLS.
89 WLS.
Meet one of your local Geico agents.
Hello.
She's close by.
Feel free to call or stop by anytime.
Call or pop right in for some small talk. Lovely weather. Fancy the game tonight? Could I save 15% or more on my car insurance? 15%? That's not small talk, is it? I never like that term. It's a bit offensive to folks like myself.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
To see how much you could save, contact your local Geico office in Chicago, Schaumburg, or Schererville.
As a home plate ump, my eyesight is my paycheck. Strike one!
Strike that thing was chin high!
But the price of monthly contact lenses was eating me up. Strike two!
Come on, it bounced to the plate!
So to save some money, I'm just using these glasses I found. Cha-ching! Strike three! You're out!
He hasn't even pitched the ball yet!
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Cancer doesn't fight fair. At Loyola University Health System, we fight cancer using innovative medicine like I Spy 2, a clinical research trial for early breast cancer unique in the Chicago suburbs, only at Loyola. Targeting a patient's treatment to their individual tumor is personalized medicine, the new frontier in cancer therapies. Call 708-226-4357 or visit loyolamedicine.org/cancer to learn more. Loyola Medicine. We also treat the human spirit.
Hi, Tom Bodette, restoring some sanity to this election season by starting my own super PAC. Gonna call it Six Pack. But instead of collecting huge checks from anonymous donors to make annoying TV ads that scare the pants off you, we're going to collect the lowest price of any national chain. And in exchange, rather than political influence or being appointed ambassador to Fiji, you get a clean, comfortable room with a TV you can turn off. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you.
You take your 6-year-old to the playground. You watch her run from the slide to the swings. Another mother strikes up a conversation. You take your eye off your daughter for a few seconds. You look back, and she's gone. Lily? Lily? Every parent knows that feeling. Imagine if she were actually abducted. To receive free Amber Alerts on your cell phone, go to wirelessamberAlerts.org. A child is calling for help. Brought to you by the Wireless Foundation, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Ad Council.
A special Capital Gold Group alert from precious metals expert and registered financial consultant Jonathan Rose.
The type of gold you purchase will dictate the profits that you will make. I'll let you in on a little secret, a guide that other gold firms do not want you to see. It's the 2012 official Insider's Guide to Owning Gold. The first 20 callers will get this gold guide for free. This complete buyer's guide shows you how to purchase gold at the lowest possible prices, which gold coins will give you a better return in the future. And if you have a 401k or an IRA, it will show you how to roll that over into an IRA backed by solid gold.
Be one of the first 20 callers and get the official Insider's Guide to Owning Gold absolutely free, shipping included. It's what other gold firms do not want you to see. Call Capital Gold Group now, 800-510-9594, 800-510-9594, 800-510-9594. That's 800-510-9594.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Tune in to The Mortgage Radio Show here on 890 AM WLS this morning at 11 a.m. The Mortgage Radio Show, hosted by Kerry Kasem and mortgage expert Alex Michaels. Brought to you by Network Capital Funding Corporation. Will help you find the right mortgage product for your needs. The Mortgage Radio Show will provide you reliable information, up-to-the-minute interest rates, and most current loan programs available. Get the tools needed to make sound financial and mortgage choices. Tune in this morning at 11 a.m. on 890 AM WLS. The Mortgage Radio Show, your number one choice for mortgage news.
News from across the country and around the world is moments away with an ABC News update on 89 WLS and WLSAM.com.
6:52. The NATO Summit 2012, Chicago. Everyone has a beef special. With me, Jake Hartford, Jim Johnson with the news at the top and the bottom of the hour. Traffic. John Cass coming in. And don't forget, you get news and traffic all throughout this weekend to keep you up to date on what's open, what's closed as far as the road closures and where the protesters are. All that right here in 89 WLS. You know, you think we're having trouble here. They're having trouble in Cannes, where they have the film festival going on. They have pigeons at the outdoor cafe that try to steal the food. So to counter the pigeons, they have people with falcons to attack the pigeons. See, I like that. I like that. Good morning, Mr. Cass.
Good morning. Hey, look, there are no garbage cans outside on the street.
There's nothing.
No, there is. There's a bunch of cops.
Yeah.
And the private security guys are making a fortune here.
It took me to get in the building this morning about 35 minutes.
Did you get a pat down?
Everything.
Did you get one of those TSA specials?
Yeah. No? Yeah, I got to tell you, there is a guy. Folks, remember this name. When you say, hey, you're doing all you can, you can't do any more, you can't give any more. Let me give you a name of a guy who is really gives everything he has. The guy's name is Desmond Hatchett. Lives in Tennessee. He's 33 years old. In 2009, he said, I'm done. You're saying, what was he done? Well, he said he was done having kids. In the 3 years since he said he was done, he has fathered 9 kids, including 4 2 years in a row with the same woman.
So how many kids total?
Total? The total kids, how many he has? He has 30 children with 11 different women.
I'd say that's rather Homeric.
And I know what you're saying. Well, if a guy's a millionaire, he could afford it. Let him have as many kids as he wants. Well, the trouble is Mr. Hatchett is not a millionaire. He works for minimum wage.
Is this one of these, I heard that song, like that?
I have no idea what the music is to this. I have no idea. But he has 30 children with 11 women. And the way it works, they can only take, the maximum they can take for child support is 50% of your pay. So this guy is minimum wage. So that, like, one woman, she has a kid with him, she gets $1.49 a month.
How many carrots does that buy?
Not a lot.
The cheap carrots, the 59 cents carrots.
And this guy's only 33. He's got his whole life ahead of him.
I just see did you ever see one of my favorite movies is Idiocracy? Did you ever see Idiocracy?
I may have. I don't remember.
Okay, it's a movie about how the smart people stop having kids and all the idiots have kids. And within a couple generations, you'll see the entire country was populated by idiots.
Well, I don't know. I
mean, they were putting Gatorade on their crops.
30 kids by 11 women.
Yeah.
And some are multiple. Like I said, he has 9 in the past 3 years. He did 4 with the same women 2 years in a row.
So 30 children now, and let's say he does another 25. In 2 generations.
And who's paying for all that?
Jake Hartford, John Cass, and the listeners.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Hey, how was your ride-in this morning?
It was a breeze. Yeah, I didn't get the TSA pat-down outside. I couldn't get the Dunkin' Donuts because they shut their lights off. So I thought, okay, they're closed. So I had to go to the 7-Eleven and get not what I was looking for in the coffee department.
Boys, you're driving the Stevenson okay?
The drive was, I didn't take the Stevenson, I took the Eisenhower. The drive was really smooth. Tomorrow, remember last week we were talking about how we were worried? It was so easy. But tomorrow, it's not going to be nice.
George in the south suburbs. George, you're in 89 WLS.
Hey, Jake, cheer up, man. All 42 of them are registered Democrats.
Thanks, George.
Rock on.
Yeah. Man.
Well, you know what? It's, at least he has, sometimes people say, do what you're good at. That's what your parents say. Do what you love. Well, this is his avocation.
How does he hide all these kids and the women from somebody new? Don't they know about this? Or don't they go like?
No, I think if my idiocracy theology is right, after a while, no one cares. Right? It doesn't. It's just standards are all gone.
Man,
30 kids, and then in 2 generations, it'll be probably 2,000 people.
I don't know. Anyway, that's John Cass. He's going to be with me for the next hour until Paul Bryan gets here with Drive Chicago. We'll have your news with Jim Johnson, top and the bottom of the hour. We'll give you the traffic. We'll give you everything and there's already you're not going to believe this, John, there's already controversy at the summit. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more as we continue right here on 89 WLS in Chicago.